Welcome back, you lovely people. There is blood in the crypto streets once again. So let's spend some time understanding exactly what is happening, make sure that we're all cool, calm, and collected, or at least as much as we can be. So Bitcoin is currently down, let's call it 4% at 32,000. We were down a little bit more not too long ago, and we're having a little relief bounce at the moment. Let's see if that continues or it's just temporary and we're heading further down. We've been watching this trend line and this triangle, and we did have the false breakout about 5 days ago. And as we know, Elon smacked us back down with another one of his tweets. So we've now broken this very clearly to the downside. That was last night and now has continued today. So certainly looking bearish, and I'm going to remove our 3 areas of repair because they are not in play at the moment. What is in play is the downside, of course. And where are our key levels? So clearly one key level is 30,000. It was support over here in January, and that was the low in mid-May when we had our massive capitulation, and we are heading back there. I mean, we almost touched it an hour or so ago, but we've not broken that to the downside. So that 30,000 level is very key. Hopefully we hold, hopefully we bounce. If we do not hold 30,000, then things start to look quite bleak. We do not have much support down here. And I've also been looking at some metrics from William Clemente. Go follow him on Twitter. But it doesn't look like there is much buying support in this area. So let's call it what it is. If we do break $30,000 to the downside, then we could be looking at 19 or 20,000, which would be our previous all-time high. We'd be heading back in to test. Now, you know, that seems like a long way down, and it certainly would be a long way down. Let's measure it from 65 down to 19 or 20 would be about 70%. Now, it's not uncommon to test a breakout of an all-time high. Once we broke out, we did never actually retest the breakout. It was about 19,500. We went up very, very quickly. And if we come down to a weekly view, let me clean this up. Come down to a weekly view. Where's our level? There we go. Then to come in and retest 19,000 wouldn't look too out of the ordinary in terms of chart patterns, but of course it's not what we expected and not something that is in line really with previous bull markets. However, there is an exception to that. We haven't seen us come in and retest an all-time high this long after breaking out. However, if we were to drop 70%, then we do need to note that that has happened in a Bitcoin bull market before. In 2013, we had our double wave, and the first pullback was 83%. And of course, what happened after that, let me come down to what we're on, 3-day, that's good. And of course, this gives us hope, because what happened after that was that we recovered and had our blow off top, and we made this pullback look absolutely tiny. So we could still be following a similar pattern to 2013, but we need to wait and see what the market is going to show us. Let's not jump to any conclusions like that. I'm just looking at this chart. No, don't want to look at that. Okay, so what is causing the sell-off today? Why are we continuing downwards? Why have we not recovered? Well, as you have probably seen, there's been non-stop negative press coverage, almost like it was coordinated, huh? Well, so today in particular, we've had the news that the Colonial Pipeline in the US was hacked and they demanded Bitcoin. And today the US has reclaimed most of that Bitcoin that they paid to those hackers. Now, without going into the detail, there is very little in the story that makes sense. Anybody that understands Bitcoin wallets can very easily see that this story is not all it is said to be. And is that surprising? No, it's not surprising. What do I think is happening here? Well, at the very least, I think that, well, no, I'll just be perfectly honest with you. I believe this whole event, the pipeline hack, is a conspiracy. It was conspired for multiple reasons, but one of the reasons was to be able to put out this sort of headline where they can imply that the Bitcoin network is hackable stroke seizable, and that the FBI or the authorities can come after you and seize your Bitcoin. And anybody that knows about storage solutions and the network knows that that is false. But of course, many people just read the headline and then press the sell button. So again, we are in peak FUD season, so be very, very careful. And conveniently, we then had news circulating that the IRS chief asked Congress for authority to regulate crypto. Very little detail behind this. I mean, in terms of the IRS, that is the tax service, and therefore crypto is already regulated. It's already subject to capital gains tax and has to be declared. So we don't even know really what that means. Probably just another headline. And in any case, if there is regulation coming, that could potentially be seen as bullish because there are many ETFs, funds in the pipeline that are waiting to get approved, and regulation may help them. So again, it's just much of the same, which is headline after headline about the danger or the risks of crypto and Bitcoin, all coming out at a very, very convenient time in the middle of our bull market, and accompanied by actors such as Elon Musk, who seems to be doing some of the dirty work as well. So I would just suggest to be very, very careful out there. It can seem like this is going to be never ending. Are they killing Bitcoin? Does it mean that the cycle is broken and we're heading into a bear market? Can we withstand all of this pressure? Well, I just want to remind you that in previous bull markets, we've had to deal with a lot of risks and fear mongering as well. And in some ways, a lot more tangible than what is happening now. In 2017, you had the forking wars, which was in some ways a real threat to the network. And that turned out, of course, absolutely perfectly. And in 2013, you had the Mt. Gox issue, which really could have taken down the ecosystem because it was the only exchange out there. But Bitcoin is extremely resilient and must be the most resilient asset class out there because it is under such constant attack, and every time it gets stronger. But of course, we have to deal with short-term volatility. We talk about that all of the time. So if you're looking at this today and you are concerned, then the question you need to ask yourself is, because of course the chart doesn't look very pretty, so have the fundamentals of Bitcoin changed? the reasons why we got into it in the first place, that there's only 21 million, that it's a far, far better payment system, particularly with the Lightning Network, a better store of value, cannot be controlled by any central party. Have any fundamentals changed? Well, I would suggest that actually the fundamentals get stronger and stronger for Bitcoin. I suggest everybody watches this video from the Bitcoin conference over the weekend. This is Jack Mallers, the CEO of Strike, who was able to present that El Salvador is going to become the first country to make Bitcoin legal tender. Absolutely massive, incredible news. Of course, El Salvador, the issues that they have is they had a massive civil war, and then their currency was destroyed, and now they use the US dollar. So they're struggling under the weight of inflation because the US dollar is being printed into submission. And they have to deal with a lot of remittances. So El Salvadorians, I'm not sure if that's the right terminology, but family members head over to the US to do work and send their money back to support their family. They lose about 50% of their earnings in remittance payments. Central parties who, there we go, remittance fees can reach 50%. Struggling, poverty-stricken country has decided to adopt a Bitcoin standard and has really led the way in that. And what have we seen over the past few days? This thread is showing now all of the different politicians and congressmen and congresswomen and presidents around, particularly Latin America, who are putting laser eyes. They're making a stand. They're showing that they understand how important it is to have hard and sound money, and they're going to start making a change. So we have the president of the Congress in El Salvador. We have a Paraguayan politician, Brazilian politician, Argentinian, Mexican, Ecuadorian, and we've also had Panama, and we had another one, Nicaragua and Colombia. So battle lines are being drawn. It doesn't surprise me that there is FUD coming out of the US today. This is the US dollar versus the developing countries. And it is very clear who's on the right side of history. But revolutions don't come easily. What else have we got going on? Watch what they do, not what they say. We have one of the top advisors to President Biden having to disclose that he owns between $1 and $5 million worth of Bitcoin. And he calls it a bubble when he puts out information. Okay. You see how the game works. But we do have people with extreme conviction. Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy raising another let's call it $500 million to buy more Bitcoin. And when I talk about how the fundamentals changed, well, are the US going to realize the error of their ways and stop printing money and stop inflating the money supply? Well, Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, former Federal Reserve Chair, says inflation is about to surge. Well, it's already surging, and it's going to be a plus for society. So for her, a plus for society is when her friends get rich or richer and everybody else descends into poverty. The fundamentals for Bitcoin have never been stronger. I still believe we are halfway through the bull market. Every bull market is going to be slightly different. This one is extremely bumpy, for some extremely painful. but that keep coming back to those fundamentals and keep reminding yourself why Bitcoin is important. It will help you with the patience. It will help you be more comfortable hodling, because there's only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. And it's going to be more and more important for people all over the world in order to gain access to. And even those that pretend to be against it are buying themselves. So whilst we're going through this turbulence, there is a lot of Bitcoin, unfortunately, making its way into the hands or the wallets of the whales and the elites. So just be very, very careful out there. And let's remain patient, see what happens over the next few days, and I will continue to assess versus past cycles, see what patterns we can come up with, and try present a coherent roadmap out of here. But we first need to see what happens, particularly at this $30,000 level. So thank you very much for tuning in and supporting, and I'll talk to you soon.